Greetings, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of White Flag Media. My name is Dan of the Lakeshore Sovereign Assembly and the Truth Guardians Peace Treaty and the Truth Guardians Alliance. Welcome again. As usual, with every episode, we start off with a quick invocation when dealing with any kind of technology. So we'll keep it short and sweet, very, very intentional. I invoke thee, pillar of white light, and the violet flame from the primary source. Place a circle of protection around me. Transmute anything that does not serve the light. Send all entities of lower and denser vibration back to their original place in space and evolutionary pace. I command my spirit to ensure that this episode reaches all those of the highest intention, frequency, and vibration, and hits to the higher selves of anybody watching with the intention of peace and abundance. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Shalama, Shalama, Shalama. Adonai, Adonai, Adonai. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now it is done. I know this, and I thank you. All right, with that out of the way, first things first, next week, so Saturday, the 21st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So March, if I said February, that was wrong, but March the 21st, that's a Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going live again with Sensei Phil, and that episode will be covering the spiritual updates as well as the intel updates. Since the last time that we did a live stream, holy Moses, lots has been going on. So for those folks that are saying, nothing's happening, where's the enforcement coming? Where is this? Where's that? We often hear that from people that are not really paying attention or tuned in to the complexity of the whole situation, right? There is so much going on. And this is why we've been talking about this for 6 years. Sensei's been dealing with this since the mid 80s. And whenever we say, we get asked, well, how do you put all this together? And we send, well, here's a treaty. Here's about 10,000 pages of evidence. Here's, 64 videos. It's because this stuff is really, really complicated. But part of our work is to try and take the complicated and make it simple. So what we've done is we've taken 2 documents, and I will link them in the description. Okay. Both of the YouTube channel and the Rumble channel. Okay. But in the description, the first link that I'm going to provide, which will be in one of the documents anyways, but I want to actually have a link standing on its own, is the latest interview that we found with the, I think it's Border Security. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the channel, but it will be linked in the description. It's an amazing interview. And it really ties everything together that's been happening in the world and paints a picture of how it's incredibly relevant to Canada and how to kind of put it in a more lighthearted way, Canada's next on the FAFO list, right? And it needs to be for the sake of humanity. It really, really needs to be. And for people that think, there's just this oil over here, and then there's just this cartel down there, and there's just this, but you really haven't taken the time to see how relevant it is to Canada and how important it is to Canada. It's really all laid out for you in that episode that I'm going to link first in the description with that Sam Cooper interview. If you have no idea who Sam Cooper is or who Gary Clement is, That's going to be in the next link that I will provide. It's an 8-page document. Now, obviously, when we put an 8-page document together, it's linked to videos and all sorts of other information. But it shows and details how and why the crimes and corruption in Canada are too far gone for the remedy to come from within Canada. People that think that there's still a political solution really don't know what is going on behind the scenes, how much these politicians are aware of the problem, the corruption and the infiltration. And the people that think that, oh, well, Pierre is going to save us, or Larry Brock's going to save us, or no, 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 no. These folks are absolutely aware of, let's say, the Chinese Communist Party corruption within their own party and within the various other parties. And they actively do nothing. When they get the chance to bring somebody in on a deposition, they never ask the important questions. And we know because we've asked them behind the scenes in person when the cameras are off. And they know that we know what we're talking about, and then they run away scared. And I won't get into who we talk to and how we've been interfacing, but let's just say we're not guessing at this from reports. We know directly. Okay. But even for somebody that doesn't have or hasn't been, putting themselves out there as much, you can still paint a really good picture and get a very good sense of the depth of the criminality and how everything is tied together through the Crimes of Canada document that we've put together. Okay. The next one that's going to be really important, and the third link, I'm only going to put 3 links in the description to, the video with Sam Cooper, the Crimes of Canada video, and the We Are at War document. And this is where, when we talk about the white flag and we talk about a continuity of government and we talk about all these other things, people are like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't get it. So we put it together in a document to really kind of spell it out. Here is why we are at war. We can see that there's a very kinetic war going on right now, but war, like the battle for freeing humanity and enslaving humanity, that's the real crux of the issue right now. That's what's going on. The attack is happening right now, and there is such a thing as 4th generation warfare, 5th generation warfare, and 6th generation warfare. It's sometimes referred to as irregular warfare, but just because we're not seeing bullets and missiles, it doesn't mean that there isn't a war going on. Warfare can be conducted by propaganda, quiet weapons and silent wars, right? This was the messaging after World War II, and this was the beginning of irregular warfare on a global scale, right? Like we see it and we know about it, especially over the last 6 years when we talk about propaganda and we talk about Event 201, and these are things that we can kind of really connect with, but it does go far deeper than that, and it's been happening for a very, very long time. Simple logic. In a wartime situation, military law supersedes, is above all other types of law, right? It's like if you're in a fight, you got to deal with the punch that's coming at your head. Nothing else matters, right? So that's the reality of that. The power of the North American alliance comes from stepping out of this wartime situation and saying, I'm not a part of this. That's what the white flag means. Anybody that says that it's surrender, that's actually, there's no definition of a white flag that means surrender. Can you surrender under a white flag? Yes, you can. But really think about that. Use that old noggin, get the gears going, and actually think, right? The full sentence of surrender is negotiate the terms of surrender. Okay? The first word in there is negotiate. A white flag in a wartime situation is a signal for uh, a cessation to hostilities and a need to negotiate. Now, in our case, negotiate what? Boom, the Truth Guardians Peace Treaty, which has been put together for the benefit of all: reparations, restitution, um, reclamation, and for those that deserve it, redemption. It's all in there, it's all available. This is our sovereign duty. Now, in that first Crimes of Canada document, we also talk about our role, our duty, our responsibility. And this is where uh, we collectively in the freedom movement have really at large missed the mark, right? We go to the courts, which are corrupt and captured, and when you file a court case, you actually fund the deep state, and you participate. We've laid out the laws many times, but I'll say them again ad nauseum. Rome Statute Article 25, Common Law Duty of Care, Law of War Manual Section 15.6, Ezekiel 33. I don't care what else you want to use there. The laws very simply say if you participate, you become complicit, personally liable, right? So, what do we have in this so-called country of Canada right now? We have the CRA gutting people worse than ever before, giving massive corporations a break while people are starving. We've got food prices soaring to an all-time high. We've got the banks crushing people with mortgage amortizations rate where they have to default on their mortgage. We've got C9 being rushed through. We've got floor crossing out the wazoo. We've got political corruption. We've got judicial corruption. We've got a destruction of the freedom of speech. We've got all these different things. And it meets no resistance. If you actually study and empower yourself, and it's not a lot of study, like it's a bit, but it's not a lot. If you realize the simple chain of logic, well, number one, in a wartime situation, that trumps everything. But even without a war, if you actually read the international covenants and treaties and you read the Vienna Accord and you realize that the countries that sign on to these things have to adhere to the treaty law first before their national law, then you very quickly realize that, okay, I actually have not only the lawful right to and the ability to, but a lawful responsibility to make us stand for these things. They only keep on getting away with it because we fund them and empower them to be able to get away with it. The good guys are dealing with the things on a bigger scale. You can start to watch some of the links that we provide, and it really paints a picture as to how the remedy is coming and how Canada's the next on the chopping block. This is real. This is coming. We're just doing our part trying to warn everybody and give somebody something that they can do, right? So the documents explain the details, but the very simple facts are funding a crime is a crime. Participating with the criminal systems is also a crime. The system and all aspects of it is far too far gone, and it has been for a very long time. It's all parties that are involved. The politicians, even at the local level, are simply interested in continuing their paycheck and their position. Same with the lawyers, same with all these other things. It's just perpetuating the problem and keeping it going indefinitely. We're not living in the country that you thought you were, right? I forgot to add MAID on top of that list. Goodness gracious. Veterans, people that look like you and me, we're all being targeted with MAID. And it's a very specific group. I will let you dig into that a little bit more. But the Canadian Food and CFIA, the ones that called the ostriches, the foreign military being rushed in, like this is all real. This is happening. and it's paid for by you with no resistance. Not even a thing to be like, hey, I'd like to step out. Okay. We have the right to self-determination. That exists. That's coded and protected. It's not recognized by the criminals, but if somebody's coming for your wallet in a real life situation, they're not going to follow the rules. They are not there to make your life easier. They're there to take your wallet. That's what we're dealing with on a larger scale here. This is the crux of self defense. It's not going to the criminals and being like, okay, we're going to try and get them to stop by asking them to stop it. There is assistance. There are good guys, but even if that's not your jam and you can't see that and the documents don't hit you, even then, we still have duties and responsibilities. Non-participation is kind of like the bare minimum. So as you go into that, this is where learning, okay, there's a wartime situation. There are crimes that are ongoing here. They've happened and they continue, and it's getting worse. Look at the new health minister doubling down on the COVID vaccines and actually saying, oh, you know what? The people that have applied for the vaccine injury support, they're faking it. That's her actual statement. And they're doubling down on the vaccine things. Heavens, even just in Halton over here, we've got moms that are saying, you know what, my 14-year-old son, I don't want him to get the HPV vaccine, and now they're threatening suspension. Like this agenda is ongoing, funded by you, empowered by you. When you raise a Canadian flag, you consent. When you use their systems, you consent. When you don't demand accountability, it's consent. So this is the alternative step that you can take. Episode 2 of White Flag Media has got some actions that you can do in the description in there, letters or things like that. But largely, we've done the grunt work. We've sent everything to the right people. It's out there. It's done. And we did it so that largely people don't have to. But what you can do if you want, and we'll go into much more detail next week on the 21st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with that one, or just like let's say 3 simple steps that you can do. Number 1, raise a white flag. Start to carry it around. Put it at your house. Put it on your car. And maybe walk with it around the neighborhood or something like that, right? Hold that intention of peace and non-participation. You can mail it places, you can send it to people, like whatever's resonating with you, right? So that's that. Tying into that, if you're being bugged by an institution and you want to send a white flag, or if you're going into one of these places, you want to hold a white flag, as long as you're standing on truth and non-participation, accountability, all those things, you can hold the white flag. If you hold a white flag while you're still participating, that's actually under false pretenses. That's a war crime too. But those attacking people under a white flag that are doing it for all the right reasons and under the neutrality and non-participation, you've not forfeited your protections yet. You've not forfeited your neutrality. You're good. Okay. And then the last one, go back, watch episode 4 of White Flag Media. There's a lot of spiritual protocols that we've broken down in there. We're going to have more in the next one and updates on that. But the meditation, the intention, and that work is incredibly important too. You really can't be sovereign unless you've got a sovereign frequency. And that's where a lot of us have kind of dropped down, right? Not a judgment, right? It's observable fact. A lot of folks have gotten tired, burnt out. I understand, right? I get it. But that frequency to be like, no, this is the line. This is the truth. This is this. And then to stand on it and to stand up for it and to do it for something other than the I. right? Or the my. I want this. My house, my family, my children. A suggestion: shift it to uh, our, right? Or instead of my children, the children, the families, uh, our spaces, our freedom, or just the freedom. The service to others versus service to self. Things to consider, but what we do as an individual matters. So next week, March 21st, Saturday at 7:30 p.m., we'll be doing a live stream. Please feel free to come in, and whether it's on Rumble or YouTube, and comment, ask questions. We'll take them live as we did last time, and uh, take the time to examine the documents that we've got. The first one will be the link to the latest Sam Cooper interview. It's awesome. It really ties everything together uh, in a really cohesive way. I think it's simple to understand. It's long, but there really isn't like a part of it that's wasted space or just talk for the sake of talk. It's all very, very hard hitting, factual, and important. The next document will be the Crimes of Canada. Um, and we put all of the evidence and videos in there. It's 8 pages, but we've organized it pretty simply. We've run it through a few other people. It seems to be pretty easy to comprehend. And then the last one is the "We Are at War" document. For those who don't really grasp the what do you mean war? What's going on? Hopefully that document will clear things up and show that this has really been going on for a long time. Simple reality: in a wartime situation, military law supersedes civil law. There is a continuity of government happening on a global scale. The reality is the scope is massive. What they are dealing with is literally thousands of years of corruption and infiltration. Really, it's more, but like let's just leave it there for now. And we're really seeing the end of that in about like a 50 or 60-year period from when these white hats Earth Military Alliance started working on it, right? But we're not supposed to be spectators of this whole situation. The idea is we have duties and responsibilities as well. The idea is to participate in the solution as a sovereign entity. The North American Alliance is going to be the remedy, the reparations, the restitutions, the overall beginning of the new world, of new health systems, new financial systems, sovereign local communities, like small local communities that are in charge of their own governance, their own health, their own well-being. But if you're not in that space of like, hey, uh, I have work to do, I am a part of this, I will contribute to the positive result, then you know, even if there are good guys, there are, but there's nobody to hand it off to. You know what I mean? Like it's just a bunch of taxpayers that will just do the same thing over again. We haven't learned anything if we do that. So the idea is to bring yourself to a sovereign frequency, act as a sovereign individual for the benefit of all. Thank you very much. Enjoy the documents, and we will see you next week. Adonai.